I'm Heather from booktubes, and today is my August reading wrap up. In the month of August, I read 23 books. I DNF'd 6 of them, and so I'm going to talk about 17 today. This is great for me because I have been in a reading slump. This is the most reading I have done for a few months. However, as you will see, most of this reading happened at the beginning of the month and then kind of hit a screeching halt, and then we started a couple of times, and hopefully we'll get the momentum going again in September. So going in chronological order, the first book that I read was Night's Fall, which is The Four Realms #1 by Kristen Ashley. I gave this 5 stars. This is a surprise sci-fi romance that she published. I would say it's kind of like a fantasy world in the future. So you have dragons and kings, you have shifters and vampires and the fae, so all this type of fantasy races. And then you also have cell phones and computers and like hover cars and stuff like that. So fantasy world, couple hundred years in the future past our technological advancements, right? So of course I really like this. He is a dragon shifter and he's the crown prince of the kingdom, and she is his fade mate. She does not realize this because her animal was actually killed a few months ago, so she's not in touch with her instincts the way that she would be before that had happened. The other books in the series are going to be the princes of the other realms, just like she's done with her fantasy series. So I'm looking forward to all of them. I had a really fun time with this one. She is from a abusive, neglectful family. She has a great found family. Her best friends' families basically have adopted her and are really supportive, really kind, just everything that she could want, but her family is not. And then the prince's family is like an interesting mixture of toxic, not great, is great. She's a really acclaimed costume designer for film, so she's really well known for that. And then of course the prince is the most eligible bachelor in the land, and it does have like the paparazzi and all that type of thing that I don't enjoy about contemporary celebrity or royal romances, but I still loved it. Then I read Hold Your Breath, which is Search and Rescue #1 by Katie Ruggles. I give this 3 stars. This is a romantic suspense. The romance was easy and sweet, but it did kind of take a back seat to the suspense plots in this book. So I will give you a big content warning for her ex is a violent stalker. It's very creepy. It's kind of the predominant theme of the book. So I would caution you if that's anything that you want to avoid. It was creepy. It was like very suspenseful. You felt like you were being stalked. Both she and her love interest are on the search and rescue dive team. So she discovers a dead body that's trapped under the ice. She also ends up trapped in a burning house during this book, so caution on that. And also the murder mystery does not get solved in this book. So her stalker gets solved, but not the murder mystery of the guy that she found dead. There's also like an underwater battle scene and running out of air underwater. So if all those things are like, things that creep you out that you really don't want to be your suspense elements, those are all in this. One thing that I really did not like in this book though was that there appears to be homeless man, perhaps not homeless man, but definitely someone who is depicted to be struggling with his mental health. He's very paranoid. He thinks that people are out to get him, law enforcement and such, and maybe he's right, I don't know, right? However, he is unbathed, and because of that she calls him Smelly Jim, and I do not like that for my main character. I think that's so derogatory. I don't care that if everyone in town calls him that. No, I will not be. And she does a lot, never gets called out on it, doesn't have any issue with it, and that's weird to me. Then I DNF'd 2 romantic suspense. Then I did a treasure chapter, and I did DNF some books from that. Then I read Ruin by Sarah Vaughan. I gave this 4 stars. This is a historical romance graphic novel. It's a marriage of convenience. She is an heiress. He needs money. they know that that is why they are marrying. She's had a little bit of a scandal, and so feels like her scandal is an issue for their marriage. They fall in love with their spouse. How dare they? Of course, their spouse could never love them back, and there are some not safe for work panels in here, so be careful with that as you read it in front of, but I really, really enjoyed it. And I actually read this because of Bethany, her Instagram. She used to do booktube a long time ago, back when I started. And yeah, I saw in her Instagram stories that she read and enjoyed it, and my library had it this time, and I read and enjoyed it. Then I read Accidentally Kidnapping the Groom by Maria Larson. I gave this 3 stars. This is a boss one-night stand. She's running from the mafia. When she runs from the mafia, she takes the catering van, and unbeknownst to her, her boss is in it. He's actually getting married that day, not for love or anything like that. They already had a one-night stand. He wants to be with her, but he can't get a hold of her. So he's going to marry a family friend that get kidnapped instead because he needs to be married in like the month and have a baby in like a year. And it looks like his brother ends up marrying the family friend. They are snowed in, but it's a very small part of the novella. Then I read The Magical Femme by Fiona Zede. I gave this 4 stars. This is a lesbian short story, not actual magic. It's just the fact that she's like really into this femme, whereas usually she's into more mass presenting women. And it was good. I want to say they were both Black as well, but I could be lying to you about that. I don't remember for sure. Then I read Dopamine Decor, which is Style Your Home with Colors, Joy, and Fun by Kate Rose Morgan. I did skim this a little bit, but I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoy her TikTok. It's like, you know, pictures of her house. And there's some really beautiful pictures in this book, and there are some really great takeaways for how you might want to incorporate brighter, more maximalist style in your home without it kind of ruining your vibe. So then I read Alana, a graphic novel adaptation, which I gave 5 stars, of course. This is the Song of the Lioness by Tamora Pierce. This is one of the original fantasies that I read and that got me into the genre. This is one of the romances that I rooted for right at the beginning. There's actually more than one romance in here because we do follow Alana from a young child all the way into adulthood, and she does not have just one partner in that time. So she wants to be a knight, and there hasn't been a lady knight in centuries, so she disguises herself as her twin brother. Their father is very absentee, their mother died in childbirth, and so they are able to pull off this con so she can become a knight and he can become a sorcerer like he wants. Some of my favorite scenes with Alana and George are in this graphic novel, so that was really, really fun. There's great visuals. This was such a foundational book for me, and in the course of this book, it features Alana, a girl pretending to be a boy, getting breasts, her period, and in the next books, eventually sex. So it's important to note that Alana is not trans or non-binary or gender fluid or anything like that. She has full plans of being a lady knight once they can't stop her. She just doesn't want to reveal that she's a girl and get kicked out of her academics. Then I read My Big Fat Vampire Wedding by Jessica Gaziella. I gave this 5 stars. This is a vampire, funny, sweet fall romance. She has to get married in order to get her inheritance. He is a human who does not know that vampires are real. She is not allowed to tell any humans that vampires are real. So they are doing all this marriage of convenience stuff. She's going to help him pay for college, and she's going to get her inheritance and open the bookstore of her dreams. But she has an eccentric extended vampire family, and she is trying to hide the fact that they are vampires while the 2 of them are doing all of these wedding festivities. And it's really fun. The 3rd act breakup is because she's a vampire, and that is never my favorite. I don't tend to enjoy where the paranormal being a paranormal is a conflict, but I did know that that was the premise of the book going in, so I didn't ding it for that. There is a talking undead raven that I also really enjoyed. Then I read A Dungeon in Cairo by P. Jelly Clark. I gave this 4 stars. This is a prequel novella. It's a lady detective solves a mystery, saves the world, and has a meet cute with a dangerous woman. And that's pretty much the whole novella. Then I read Take a Chance by Miyako May, and she's on vacation. She runs into an old classmate. Turns out he always had a thing for her and she didn't really realize it. It was really cute and sweet and steamy, and it is on Kindle Unlimited, whereas I believe before it was not. So I would recommend. It was delightful. Then I read Dragon Ridden, which is Dragon Ridden Chronicles #1 by T.A. White. I gave this 2 stars. I had DNF'd this book at 72% back in June, but I did finish it up. It's not good. I have seen a few reviews for book 2 saying it's already a huge step up in quality. This was T.A. White's first book, first series, so that's understandable. There's no romance really. You just kind of know who the love interest will be in the future books. Everything in this is so convenient. We also know nothing because she has amnesia, but she's also not any good at figuring out things that shouldn't be affected by her amnesia. There's lots of torture and circular plot where it's like we escape and oh, we're back again. We're back in like the exact same scenario with the same people torturing us the same way again. So it was a very frustrating read. However, this is a fantasy romance series. She's like a dragon shifter, but she doesn't trust her dragon. Then I read An Improper Proposition by Amy Rose Bennett, and I gave this 3 stars. This was a recommendation from Stuff at Novelty Corner. It is a novella. This is a widowed countess has a romance with her footman. And that's really the entire thing. Then I DNF'd a fantasy book. Then Taylor Swift announced Life of a Showgirl. So everything that I've mentioned so far, I read by the 11th. Then she announced that, and then my reading slowed way down. I then reread A Love Most Fatal, which is the Morelli Family #1 by Kath Richards, which is mafia rom-com perfection. She's the mob boss, he's a math teacher. They're everything you've ever wanted in your entire life. Read this book. It's on Kindle Unlimited. Then I read Tusk Love by Thea Guanzin. I gave this 4 stars. This is the romantasy that is based on Critical Role and Dungeons and Dragons. It's a cute couple. They're on a road trip to take her to her betrothed. They fall in love right away with each other, like it's an instant connection, but they can't be in love because she's betrothed to someone else. Not only is she betrothed to him, but specifically she needs to marry him in order to save her family's fortunes. Of course, her family is abusive and neglectful, and why would we sacrifice our entire life for their happiness? I don't know. But that's the conflict. Also, class difference, even though technically they are the same class. I liked it. It was fine. I didn't feel like it was anything special. I can definitely understand if you have been hearing about this book through Critical Role for many years, liking it perhaps even more. Then I read an arc of A Love Most Brutal, which is Morelli Family #2 by Kath Richards. I believe it comes out tomorrow on Kindle Unlimited. So if you've already read book 1, you could pick it up right away. 5 stars, obviously. This was so good. It was a little bit darker than book 1. This is a marriage of convenience. She has OCD and anxiety and is spiraling. She's having a really difficult time because her sisters are having more babies and she just feels like she doesn't have the bandwidth or the capacity to protect everyone. And if anything happens to anyone, you know, she's never going to forgive herself. It's also going to be directly her fault. And she just really is having a difficult time. So she suggests a marriage of convenience to the head of the Russian mafia. He needs an heir really soon in order to prevent his not so great family member taking over, and he's having assassination attempts because he doesn't have an heir. And of course, he really has a thing for her. He's already completely obsessed with her, but he is 12 years older than her. She's 26, he's 38. And so he loves her, and she's like, I can never love you. I can't love anyone. I don't have the bandwidth to love more people. It was incredible. Then I DNF'd a dystopian romance. Then I read The Inheritance, which is Breach Force #1 by Alona Andrews. I gave this 5 stars. This is maybe my favorite book of the month, even though there's like no romance in here. The love interest and the main character meet once at the end of the book. Wild, absolutely wild that I would like that, but it's Alona Andrews, so it's not wild at all. I love Alona Andrews. They can do no wrong in my eyes. This is a sci-fi middle-aged divorced mom of teens gets trapped in this portal, this cave system, which is a gate between an alien world and theirs. If you don't destroy it, then you have a horde of monsters coming in and trying to take over Earth. And this has been happening for 10 years. She gets trapped in this, and we follow her quest to survive and get back to her children. She has a dog with her that is also part of her kind of group, but she was not the dog's handler or anything, so they didn't have a relationship before this cave, and now they are surviving together. The dog is going to survive the entire series. Don't worry about it. I loved that we got her point of view and his point of view. It was so interesting. He's like trying to get a team together to go find out what happened, and she's actively trapped in this alien cave system. There is a reference to Innkeeper Chronicles, but you can absolutely read this as your first Ilona Anders if you would like, even though there's very little romance. It's incredible how well they are able to make you care about these characters so quickly. And we are, of course, having a live show for this on Novelty Corner, Steph's channel, on the 13th, I believe. Definitely head over there, subscribe, turn on the notification. The live show is already posted. I think that's going to be really fun to discuss. And if you didn't know that Ilona Anders had this kind of surprise release, it's a serial that they'd been releasing on their blog and then published. Now you do. And it's great. I highly recommend, just like all of their books. Then I read The Raven Boys graphic novel by Maggie Stiefvater, and I gave this 3 stars. I read The Raven Boys before I started BookTube. I did read it because of BookTube when I was watching BookTube. But this is a young adult contemporary magic realism. Her family is a family of psychics, and there's like things going on with that. She's destined to kill her true love when she kisses him, and it's just teenagers dealing with difficult things and kind of a mystery, a historical mystery that they're trying to solve. I didn't love the art for this actually, and I probably won't continue the graphic novel, but if it sounds interesting to you, don't let my review put you off of it one way or another. Then I lowered my reading goal. So I am currently 27 books ahead, even though I did not read anything else in August. Then Taylor Swift got engaged. Then Sabrina Carpenter released Man's Best Friend, which I have been playing nonstop. Then we had Trump's Death Practice Run. Then I did DNF a couple of fantasy romances, but kept them on the TBR. I read a tiny bit of both. I was trying to read something in the last week or so, and it didn't really end up panning out. But if you look at my reading journal page, you can see the days that I read and how much I read, where and when. You can also see that I technically missed my diversity goal by 1%. We're not going to count that as failing though. So I read 24% diversity. I read 3 BIPOC books, 3 queer books, and 1 health book. However, those overlapped quite a bit. It wasn't actually that many books. 1 book would count for more than one thing. And then 13 of the 17 books that I read were not diverse in author or main character. I did attempt the full moon readathon and failed dramatically. And I did make good progress on reading my arc. So, my Big Fat Vampire Wedding was an arc too. I don't know if I mentioned that, but it's out now. So there's that. So yeah, the best reading month that we've had in a while, even though it really tanked there at the end. But I'm hoping I can't have all of September not reading. I can't. So wish me luck. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.